Oh,
Thank
okay.
And thank you,
Uh,
Stanley.
Thank you, everyone, for showing up and being present today. And you're all most welcome. And I don't have any special plans other than what we normally do, practicing retrievals. And if your retrieval turns into a contact, that's fine. So I hope you're all in a good space and not too upset by these politically turbulent times. It seems to be spreading all over the last little while. But you know, that's politics for you. One crisis after another.
Yeah, you got it.
We just have to sail through, you know.
Yep.
And there's been many other times of crisis where we just have to sail through. And this is another. So please feel that you can enter the eternal moment of now. Here we are now. We are unshackling ourselves from the recent past and all its concerns, and we are pushing away the, shall we say, anxieties and concerns about the near future, i.e., tomorrow. Let us slip right out of that continuum of preoccupations. Let us feel comfortable in the present moment. Here we all are together, sharing our vibrations and forming a new harmony that will last for, well, an hour, hour and a half as we explore together. So let us relax. Let us close our eyes. Let us breathe evenly and slowly. Let us move on up out of our bodies. Here we are, moving on up, away from the seated or prone body and up out of the room that you are in and up out of the building you are in. Here we are, floating above our dwellings, looking around at the rooftops of our community, the rooftops and the trees, and above us, the clouds. Let us enjoy that freedom in fresh air. And let us now begin to think about moving off in any direction that feels right to you today, any level of the spirit world, any epoch in the historical continuum. If you feel like whizzing back in time, go ahead and do it. All is available. Allow yourself to unhook from our preconceptions about what we might be able to do, and let's do it. And good luck and have fun. And I will return to you via voice in 15 or so minutes.
Gordon, there's
Hi.
people are starting to come back now.
Okay, thanks, David.
Sure.
So, friends, I see that some of you have returned, and perhaps some of you are still returning. And if you are returning, please remember to bring back all the aspects of yourself, the emotions, the thoughts, the compassion. Bring it all back into your body as we settle back into our bodies. And please feel free to share any and all of your experiences.
I'll go first. Mine will be quick. I apologize. I jumped on late, but thank you for letting me in, David.
Sure thing.
So I just started getting into it, and then I had a dog situation that I had to address. So, and I wasn't sure how much time there was left. So I just took that time because I have a lot of energy to send love and light just to everybody in the group to add to their experience today, if their experience was draining them. And then just to, this part was cool because, I was sending, Reiki healings, whatever you want to call it, laying on the hands, depending upon what your religion is, to all the lost souls out there that are just wandering around. And then just, sat and enjoyed doing that rather than, waste it or try and rush anything about a retrieval or anything like that. So sorry I was late. Because normally I like to attune for about 10 to 15 minutes. So when we get on, I'm pumped. So, I wasn't primed today, but I will be more mindful next time.
No, those were nice comments that you made. Thank you.
Okay. And that's wonderful. Thank you for hosting, Gordon and David, and
Sure.
here. And I'm anxious to stay and hear everybody's wonderful adventures.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Larice, go ahead and unmute, please.
Okay. I usually start out being really open, and sometimes I ask my guide what's the best thing that I can do right now. And this time, Dorothea Dix came to me. She's a woman that was a mental health reformer in the 1800s. And I do have somewhat of a relationship with her. And she had said to me before once that all of the work she had done had been undone later after she had passed over, or a lot of it had been. And that was, disheartening. And so this time she said, I spend a lot of my time rounding up people who pass over in mental hospitals and psych wards and that sort of thing. But there's some I can't get because they don't see me. Would you help me with that? And I said, sure, I'd love to. So we went around to all these different places, and I don't think all of it was like right now. I think some of it probably was in the past, like starting from her time and going on forward. So I'm not sure about all of them, but some of them seemed older, like they wouldn't be in now. I didn't take a whole lot of time to look around or figure out what time you're in, because it didn't really matter. We're just trying to round up people. And there were all kinds of people, there were some that were like in straitjackets and screaming, and then I just had to get their attention, and I would, some of them could talk to me and some of them couldn't, but I just tried mainly to get their attention so that they would notice something and look around, and some of them were, coherent. And like in this one place, this guy said, I started talking to him and I said, well, you want to get out of here? And he goes, well, I tried several times, but they always bring me back. So I'd love to, but I just don't think it's going to work. And I said, well, what if you didn't have a body anymore? And he said, he had to kind of stop. And he said, what? Yeah, what if you didn't have a body anymore? Then you could get out of here and nobody would even notice. And he said, wait a minute. And then after he thought about it, he goes, oh, okay. And then he started, talking, kind of shouting around to a bunch of the other people that were in there and going, hey, you guys, we could all leave. We could all leave. And they got I got varying responses from people. Some of them were like, oh, you're full of shit and all this kind of stuff. And then others were like, hey, we could go. And Dorothea had this train out there that we put everybody on so that they had some idea how they would be conveyed to the next place. Because that's something that, they had back then and they have now as a train. Everybody can understand that. So they had this train. So we would take people from wherever we found them and we would get them on this train. And some people were just inert, but they just they were just like they were when they're in their body, but they're like catatonic, but they just were the same way in their spirit. And if we couldn't get their attention and we couldn't sort of get their volition to go with us, we just picked them up and put them on there. If they didn't do anything to object or anything like that, we just put them on there. And so that was a really interesting, exciting, and enjoyable experience that I had. There's more, different situations with people, but I'm not going to go into all that. I just wanted to generalize.
So you had like a group crossing.
Yeah, a pretty big group.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment about that. I told the group here that I also work with a priest named Father Nathan, and he's the one that has all the crossings, and we just sit there and talk to the people.
Right.
It's not me. Like here, we all have our individuals, but with him, it's just him that's having it. And a very common thing, I've been with helping them for about 3 years, and what you described as getting on a train, that type of thing is very similar to what I've heard him talk about. Getting on a train, or if there's a parade of people, there's a parade that's come and they've come to take the person away in the parade. Different ways like that. So that interesting that you have that thing too.
Yeah, that was interesting because it was a large group, and it was from all these various, eras and stuff and places. And we had to figure out a way. We couldn't take each one of them individually. We just couldn't do it. There weren't that many people involved. So we had to find a way to gather them all together and deal with it in a way that would make them comfortable.
Mm-hmm. And this Dorothea Dix, like what time did she live in?
She lived in the 1800s, I think, right around the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
What was her main job then?
I think she was a nurse originally, but she became a mental health reformer.
You knew about her before today?
Well, I did, because this is okay. So when I was 9 years old, me and my siblings were watching TV, and we were restricted. We didn't have the TV on all the time. We could only watch certain things, and then it had to go off. My mother was really strict about that.
Mm-hmm.
So this would have been like back in, I don't know, the early 60s, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So one night I forgot what we were watching, but it went into the next show and nobody turned off the TV. I don't know what was going on or why they didn't or anything, but It was a documentary, I think, or some kind of a show about Dorothea Dix.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see.
And I'm 9 years old, and I'm praying they won't turn the TV off before I get to see the whole thing. So I don't know what that's about exactly, except, I have some kind of relationship with her. And lately I've been talking to her again.
Oh my gosh. Like when? When do you do that?
When do I do it?
When you're by yourself or
Yeah, when I'm by myself. Yeah, I don't do it in a group. I usually do it when I'm by myself. Like sometimes I ask her a question
Mhm.
or something occurs to me and I think she might be talking to me, because sometimes I get these random thoughts that aren't really random. I just don't know where it came from. And if it's on that topic, because I've been interested in that all of my life.
Mhm.
And so, lately she came up again and I had more awareness of her and I thought, oh, I should really nurture this relationship more,
Yeah.
because I think I've had it and I didn't realize.
Yeah, that's fascinating. That is really neat.
Yeah,
You got
thank you for that group retrieval. That was very interesting to me,
Mhm.
and the sort of focus the two of you had as you went around different places and plucked out the willing and the unwilling and just kept on going. That was amazing.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, if somebody was completely unwilling, we couldn't. But if they were inert and not aware or not, didn't indicate anything, we just took them.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Lori.
thank you, Larice. And
Nice.
it fits
Yeah.
in with some of the reading I've been doing recently, where uh, one character in particular, an author, Kevin Jeffers, he's got a book called Soul Retrieval. And from time to time, he seems to get involved, and he uses the language of the Monroe Institute people. So I'm guessing he's quite deeply involved with that. And they seem to get involved in group retrievals from one lower level of the afterlife to a higher level in the hundreds, like many, many
Oh,
people at a time.
yeah. Well, she
So
told
I,
me we were going to do this more, because this is the first time, at least consciously, that I've ever done this. But she said, now that I found somebody that's willing to, help me, like, we're going to do this more. Because all the way from my era, she said, to yours, there's a lot of people that need to go.
Mhm. Can't wait
uh,
to hear about your further adventures.
Yeah.
yeah, so
Well, I hope
thank you
I'm
for that.
conscious of them. I
Fascinating.
hope I can be aware of them.
Yeah,
I'd say
well,
you probably
that's
are.
the issue, Larice. If you're doing it during the daytime conscious state like this, I would almost be willing to bet you're doing similar stuff at nighttime
Yeah,
and
I think
not
you're
the.
probably right. That's why I said that, because I think, sometimes I wake up with the feeling of, oh, yeah, I've been really busy, but I couldn't tell you doing what.
Oh yeah.
Sure, I get it. I get it. I know what you feel like. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's why I'm so drained half the time.
Yeah, I think so.
Struggling to keep awake during the day.
Yeah. Yeah,
Margaret,
that happens to me too.
last time, thank you, Larice. You didn't get a chance to tell us yours last time, Margaret. Would you like to say anything today?
Sure, sure. I'll tell you, this one actually was a little emotional for me. I was coming up through the clouds and felt that I was on the second level. Now, I don't know the levels. Maybe you or Gordon can tell me about the levels. How many levels? When you were saying that, Gordon, just, if you were, when you were talking, you were saying, before we went into this, about something about levels, just see what level you go into. Do you have,
Yes, yes.
how many levels are there?
Well,
There aren't any.
the generally accepted thing is there's 7 levels. That's come from
Seven.
theosophical teaching, but there's all kinds of subplanes all over the place. It's like a 7-story building with all kinds of levels between the major stories. I know that's not a very good image, but you can you can find groups of people, communities of people, groups of people with shared belief systems all over the place. and not just like, for example, we talk about the Summerland. There's all kinds of levels of the Summerland, and people find the niche that they're comfortable with and go there. Does that help any?
Yeah, it does. It does. It does. Because for some reason I felt I was on the second level, whatever that was. I don't,
Fine.
I mean, anyway, I had a group of 7 people, again, Ukrainian. They were all from Ukraine, the Ukraine, and they were gathered together. And so I said, I have to read this.
Yeah.
Is there anyone who needs assistance? And do you know where you are? And they all said, no, we don't know where we are. So I said, well, you have transitioned, without saying, you have died. And a woman in her mid-40s approached. She had long, dark, black curly hair. She was kind of heavy set, wearing a white top and a black shawl and something like a plaid skirt. And she said, I can't stay long. I've got to be home with my kids. She had 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. And she said, how long will this take? Because she thought, she, I guess, she didn't understand probably about the word transition. And so I was a little stunned, and I needed help because I was afraid to go a little further with this. So I called on Archangel Gabriel, who's a messenger, Archangel Michael, and Raphael. And they all came in, and Raphael put his left hand on her right arm, and then he, with his index finger, he touched her third eye, and he says to calm her. And then he said to her, I want you to see what has happened. And what had happened is she immediately recognized the collapsed buildings around her, and then a bomb hit the area. Not her, but also other people around her, but she died instantly. Well, then she started to cry because her children were left behind. And I got a little emotional too. And I thought, oh dear, this is a little too much. Archangel Michael then stood behind her, and he wrapped his wings around her body to protect her. She was calmer, but still crying. And the 3 angels and her, they disappeared into the clouds, and the rest of the people just followed. They were
Very
watching.
cool.
That's all.
It was marvelous.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a good one, Mark. Lots of detail there. Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'll go next. I had actually had one today because I waited for a while to see if anybody else was going to come in, and Denise was the last one, so I was able to do one. It's in kind of like sketchy form because with me, as I said before, I'll get something like kind of a sketch, and then I'll go back later and I'll revisit it again and work with it a little bit, maybe 2 or 3 times. So this is kind of sketchy, but as Gordon was saying, I followed what he was saying. I went up through the rafters of where I live, and I went into the sky, and I'm around Lake Erie, one of the Great Lakes. And so I remember traveling past over these lakes and everything, and I'm going out towards west, and I kept going, and I ended up way out west, kind of like Montana or one of those states, into a forest. It wasn't flat. It was kind of like mountainous and very green trees. And it was like a national park or something where you could go hiking. And so I ran into this campsite because there was a trail and then there was a campsite to the side. And there was a tent there and a fireplace, and it was pretty organized. And then I noticed there was a log, and by the side of the log, there was a man that was laying down, and he's laying down on his back. And this man was probably about Gordon's and my age, because we're in our early 70s. And he had a big mustache like you, Gordon, have. And he had on a plaid, like a flannel type shirt. And he wasn't breathing. He was dead. And so then I looked around and I saw the same man sitting on a log, another log. And he says, "Well, what's going on?" I said, "Well, you've died. You're a ghost now." "Oh yeah? Why do you say that?" Well, look at that guy do you recognize that guy that's laying down over there on his back? "Is that me?" "Yeah, it is you." "Oh my gosh, I have died." And he had I don't know why he was stuck there, why he didn't pass on, but he had really no big problems about it. He was just there and he needed just a little bit of guidance. And so I said, "Well, do you realize that you're dead? Do you want to continue? Do you want to go to heaven?" I made it easy for him to understand. "Yeah, I think so." And then a couple of two other men appeared off the trail. One was bigger than the other. They were fairly skinny, and they weren't old or young. They were like midway in the 40s or something. And I realized that they were guides. And they came over, and I said, I actually got the guy went by the name of Earl, the dead guy. I said, "Earl, just follow them, go with them, and they'll take you." And off they went. So that was my first one. Then I had another one that I'd like to talk about that I didn't tell it last time. I've been saving it, but there's been like a lot of airplane stuff that's happened, accidents and collisions and that kind of thing. And Gordon, I think you might have saved some souls in one of those, if I recall.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is like a couple of visions that I had walking around on those trails that I do, those nature trails. And then I think I had some automatic writing that I was doing. So the first vision I had was it was a small private passenger plane that fits about 4 to 6 people. I saw that. And there was just two men that were passengers. One was a pilot and one was a passenger. They were out west because I looked down and the geography below was brown and not a lot of trees and things. And it was an unpopulated area with few roads, way out in the boondocks. Could have been Texas. Something goes wrong with the plane and it ends up crashing to the ground. That was the first vision I had. Then I had another vision after that. Before the crash, I could see two men in the cockpit. One is the guy that's a passenger, is about 65 to 70 years old, slender, with a gray mustache, thin, very thin, a small cowboy hat on, and a plaid cowboy shirt with snaps. The pilot is different. He's a young guy. He's 35 to 40 years old. He is kind of like he's got a baby face and he's got like a pot belly, a beer belly a little bit. He's panicking and screaming, whereas the passenger is calm. There's nothing wrong with him. He knows what's happening. He's going to probably die, but he's fine with it. He's lived a long life. And then here I've written down that somehow I'm asking the guide give me some more information about this. Well, as it turned out, the older man has hired the plane has hired this plane to deliver parts to a remote oil producing area. His company, the older man's company, they've used this plane before and this man many times before. And so they felt confident that this guy was fine. Now, the younger man, he's the one that died and he's the one that didn't cross over. So he's the one I'm going to concentrate on now. And he goes by the name of Roger. And now I'm asking him questions. Why did you get stuck? And he answers me 2 reasons. I died on impact, but it was so scary going from a high point in the air to the ground. There was nothing that I could do to gain control of the plane. The whole thing was terribly traumatic. Second, I was in my 30s with a young wife and an infant. what was going to happen to them. I felt cheated that I was only going to live a short life. Okay. Here's some more that he's telling me. My helpers told me he had some help, some counseling done, and that's why I'm there, because he's ready pretty much to go. My helpers told me that my exit point was planned before I was born, and I simply was hitting my exit point. They brought me my Akashic records to read, where it clearly states this thing, that I am to die early. I haven't figured out why I had pre-planned such a short life, and I am spending more time reading these records. I also was told that instead of sitting around feeling sorry for myself, I could accept it and move to a place where I would once again feel exhilarated about life and pursue some of my interests. They assured me that before I knew it, I would be accompanied by my wife and grown child into the same place after me. So are you ready to move on? I asked him. Yes. And and here's who appeared now. Another pilot that I have been talking to that had a similar situation happen to him, well, he'll take me. Another pilot that's already in the afterlife has been communicating with Roger. This pilot was young and died in a plane crash, very similar to what happened to Roger. And so he goes with them into the light. And that's it.
Wow.
Oh, thanks for
really
that.
good.
That was really detailed again.
Thanks. And the strange thing is, I said automatic writing because I hadn't looked at this in a couple of weeks, and I went back and I looked at it today, and that's not the way that I was talking with it. I was reading that. That's not the way that I write. I wouldn't say some of that stuff. So I think it is. I think that's what happened. That it is that kind of.
Yes, it felt very real to me.
Yeah. Thanks.
David, could when you said you didn't talk the way that it was written, was it possible that what you had written had triggered the memory, had triggered another part of your memory?
No, I don't think.
No?
I don't think it did, because I don't remember any of that stuff before ever happening. It seems like it was just. This is another person that's telling me this, or that's talking about this. The other person is Roger that's telling me. It was him, and I was just dictating what he said to me. Adrian, you must have something.
Well, yes. Actually, when we started, I kind of forget all of the things that happened, but as I started meditating, it all came back. Actually, there is so much happened. I'm not sure if I will be able to say it all. Not just today, but even preceding. So, okay, so one of the things, like last week, we had this Sven incident when you made this drawing, and I saw a Sven. And so I shared it with one of my friends about this Sven and just generally what we are doing here. And she read it. She didn't respond it. But 3 days later, her mother died. So it's kind of a strange coincidence that I, for the first time, tell her that we are helping souls who might be stuck, and then her mother passes.
Yeah. Wow.
And but she didn't respond, but I saw in the community that her mother has died. So I was actually thinking that maybe I should check on her or bring it up, but since I didn't talk to her, I wasn't sure if it's appropriate, so I didn't do that. But after we just finished the meditation, she wrote to me right during this class for this, like what we are having now, just 5 minutes ago. So, and so she shared her mother's name. Maybe I will ask Gord, or maybe next time we can check on her mother. So that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then another thing is about Archangel Michael. So sometimes, a few years ago, I had an incident with Archangel Michael. I was in an astrally projected state, and I had an encounter with Archangel Michael. I first didn't remember it, but then during the day it popped inside my memory. It happened in a way that I was in a class and we called upon Archangel Michael, and the night following I had this incident with him. It was very short, but it was him. And since then, like occasionally I have a string of synchronicities. Like if Archangel Michael comes in, like I have 4 or 5 synchronicities with him during that day. Like it's not very often, but like once or twice a year I got this. And it happened today. I got this Archangel Michael prophecies appear on my phone, and then I remembered all of my past encounters and synchronicities with him. And then, before the class, I was on YouTube, and a video came up with the testimony of Archangel Michael, and then Mark was talking about Archangel Michael, and okay, this is one of those days when Archangel Michael shows his hand. Yeah. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps. My crown is activating. So
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
But it's still not all. So I told earlier, like a few sessions back, that this lady, Vicky, wrote me an email after I tried to connect my spirit guide, that my spirit guide connected her unprompted by me. So since then, I write to her occasionally with my questions, like maybe once or twice a month I send her questions, and she answers. And she sent her answers back today, also not long before the class. And it turns out that I have a new guide now, a new spirit guide, because I'm moving beyond my life patterns that I had. I'm moving beyond those limiting patterns now, and for that reason I get a new spirit guide. His name is Orin. So that's happened also before this meditation. And so the meditation itself, I got a visual. I saw a beach, but it was kind of in a distance, and I tried to connect with it. It was difficult. So, but I kept trying to go there, and then I got this idea. There was a man there. He was fishing. He was not in a distress, or he was enjoying himself. And I got the sense that he's reliving his good parts of his life. Like he's in his dream or reality bubble where he's fishing. Like he probably enjoyed it while he was living. And that's what he was doing there. So I tried to talk to him. He really didn't want to be bothered, but he was polite. I asked, what are you doing here? And well, he was fishing, and I got the idea that he's content with where he's now. But since I was brought there, I thought maybe I'm here to help him to move on. But on the other hand, he wasn't in pain, he wasn't suffering. But I still tell him that I asked him, how long have you been here and what have you been doing before that? So maybe prompt some memories. And he told me that I am too nosy and leave him alone. And I said, okay. So I said to myself, all right, like he's not in pain, maybe I should let him be. And I just told him that whenever he feels like he wants to experience more than what he has now, he can call upon help and it will arrive. And I asked him if it's okay if I check on him at some later time. And he said, all right, all right. And so I left him there. But then, since I received this email from Vicky about my new guide, I tried to connect with him. So I had difficulty perceiving him, but he appeared there. And I didn't see him, but I trusted that he's there. So I just made my intentions clear that I'm here to connect with you. I'm open to synchronicities. I'm open to guidance. And I'm listening. Please try to communicate. So I was just sitting there, like in a meditation. I was open and receptive, but I had difficulty perceiving anything. But still, a few bits came through, some advice that I should try my hand, experiment, not to be like when an opportunity presents itself that I but I could act on it and not worry if it's not leading to anything. Just try my hand. And he told something about stories, that I should live my life in a way that it creates a good story, because it's somehow part of my design or makeup. Like, this is how I can do things. So I was satisfied with that. And then I received this message from Clara, whose mother died recently. And then it was over. And then I heard Mark with her encounter with Archangel Michael. So all these synchronicities come full circle today.
That's great. Who's this lady this Vicky lady that you talk about?
Well, she's also my friend. She runs a website. We are emailing quite often. She's an interesting lady. She had lots of experiences, spiritual experiences in her life. And Gordon knows her somewhat too.
Oh, yes. That Vicky? Sure, I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Been quite, she puts together the website. Used to be called Sovereign Abilities.
Sovereign Abilities. Now it's Reality Unmasked.
Yeah. And I've published a lot of essays and stories on that.
Yeah, that's how I got to know you.
Yes. Okay, I didn't quite realize, but it's that Vicky. Okay, I get it now.
Yeah, and the other lady, she's Clara Park, whose mother died.
Mhm.
And she now she wrote me her mother's name is Sung Won Park. Sung Won Park.
Uh-huh.
So
And
maybe.
did you want to go check on this lady's mother?
Yes, I was thinking about it, but since I haven't talked about her, I wasn't sure if it's appropriate. But she agreed now, so
Uh-huh.
maybe I will ask you. You're a master retrieval, or maybe next time I will try.
Well, I can work on it if you want me to, Adrian. Just remind me at the next session. I'm bound to forget unless you remind me.
All right. Okay, next time I will bring it up.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll
Maybe I
be
will try
happy to do that.
myself, but yeah, I would be happy if you could also try.
Sure, no problem. Just remind me.
I will.
Thanks a lot, Adrian.
Yeah,
Thanks for
thank you.
listening.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Now it's your turn, Gordon.
I mean, it seemed a little unfocused when we started, and I was considering various possibilities. Oh, it might be fun to do this. It might be interesting to do that, but I wasn't really getting anywhere. And a guide came by and said, "Well, if you can't find anything to do, I've got something for you." And he took me to a group of people. I say a he, I'm not sure it was a he. It was a guide, an astral plane guide, not somebody that's alive, physically alive. And there was a group of people that he'd managed to gather. And he said, "Why don't you move them on?" And I accepted the challenge and I stood in front of them. There was you might say a motley crew. It was a whole group. It wasn't a group. He'd somehow gathered them, recently dead and in denial, and must have made some kind of promise to them that involved me. And so, I show up and I don't know quite what to say to them and introduce myself. And without, without any fanfare, and I didn't get a whole heck of a lot of response. I guess a lot of these people were skeptics or negative in their attitudes generally for a variety of reasons. And some of them were definitely like, well, I'm not going anywhere where I have to meet religious people because I can't stand them. At least I could feel the thoughts of two or three of them in that mode. For whatever reasons, angry at religion, whether they'd been forced into it as children, I don't know. I didn't go that far, but I could feel their resentment. And one fellow actually said that. Well, as long as I don't have to meet up with any religious people. And I said, okay, that's fine. We can go, and you can go to any part of the afterlife that you would like. You don't have to be slotted in with a community or people that you're not comfortable with. Others I could feel a fairly negative attitude, and I had to sort of, without a lot of talk, sort of pump them with some more positive energy. And I could hear these sort of grumblings of discontent, but other than the fellow that spoke, nobody seemed to want to, say much. So I threw a protective bubble around them and moved them. Actually, it looked like the park that the Monroe people talk about, and it's obviously, as you know, was set up for almost any type of person, and not for any special type of person or in any group or subgroup or ethnicity or whatever. So I plonked them down there. They were pretty impressed. And I said, okay, just walk over, see those buildings over there, walk over there and meet people. And they'll help you find the area of the afterlife that you will be most comfortable with. And they looked at me kind of distrustingly. And I said, no, you just go over there. Don't mind me. I was here to bring you here. And now you're under your own steam, and walk around and see what you see and enjoy the beautiful gardens and scenery. And so I left them there. And then I came back, and I wasn't sure what to do next, again, as I wasn't sure the first time. And I tried going backwards in time to some historical thing, which I just thought would be fun, but I wasn't really focusing in on anything. And then I sensed the spirit of Julia. Julia was out, she'd projected from whatever she's doing physically because she knew that we'd be, involved in the group session. And she was attracted to that energy. And I found her and, greeted her. And she apologized for not showing up in that sort of classic Julia fashion where she's always apologizing. And I told her not to worry, that's fine. She can join us another time. And I interacted with her a little bit and tried to give her encouragement and positive reinforcement, shall we say. And then it was time to leave, and I bid her farewell and told her not to be so self-critical and try not to get upset at the current political situation. Just ignore it, that sort of a thing.
Right.
And then I came back to our group energy, and that's pretty much what happened for me.
Very good. Hey, Stan.
Yeah, certainly. Sorry.
Stanley, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, David.
Is there anything you'd like to say today?
No, I managed to get out and saw our roof and one or two changes.
Good.
But well, I say that because we've just had solar cells put on the roof, so
wow.
we're providing our own power whenever the light comes up. But I got disturbed because of a heating noise in the house, and that was me back, and nothing else happened after that.
Okay, that's good. Yep.
Yeah.
Everything counts.
Yes, thank you, Stanley, and we'll always appreciate your contributions.
Stanley's he tapes this for us. He records it, and then it goes to Wendy, and she makes a decision if she's going to put it on her YouTube, and she put 9 of them on there a couple weeks ago of Gordon's, which is really nice.
And also our last one she put up within a day or two.
Yeah, it all depends on how busy she is, because she's got a lot going on, and but I thought that was pretty good. If anybody wants to go back and view them, they're all on there now, pretty recently.
Yeah, and I've been shying away from rewatching them because it's going to take a lot of time, and some of the things that I'm thinking of and thinking, oh, it would be interesting to go through that one again in detail. Well, shoot, I can't remember which episode it's on.
Yeah, right. Yep.
So I haven't done it yet, but they're all there.
Yep. Does anybody else have anything that they want to talk about today? I have one thing for Adrian. And you said that your mom's got some dementia, and I told you that my dad did. And at the time that my dad, he passed away about 15 years ago, I didn't know anything about what we're talking about today. I wasn't at that point. But I'm a hospice volunteer, and I go see these men. I've mentioned it before, they've got anywhere from a couple weeks to 6 months to live, and I go to their houses, and usually their spouse leaves, and some of them have dementia, and I talk to them in my head. I use telepathy, and you might want to give that a try, talking to your mother that way, her higher self. And
Well, my mother has Lewy dementia, which is a
Yeah.
bit different than regular dementia. But like she's kind of living in two worlds at the same time. Like he has her imaginary hallucinatory world, but she can still, to a degree, perceive what's happening here.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, it's sometimes it's difficult, but it's just not the standard type of dementia.
Yeah, I see. Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay. So, Gordon, do you have anything else that you want to say?
Well, when you talk about what you do with visiting people in a hospice situation,
That's very nice of you. Yeah,
Oh, thanks.
that's a great way to serve people.
Yeah, thanks.
What I wanted to mention is, David, we came across, and I mean came across, we didn't know about this, a fairly recent dramatic movie up on Netflix called His Three Daughters.
I see. Okay.
And it's about three middle-aged women, well, mostly middle-aged, between like 35 and 50, in an apartment with their slowly dying father, and their how they work out their relationship with each other. And the father's off in the bedroom most of the time. They go see him and try to talk to him. But there's two hospice workers come in and out, on visits.
Yeah.
And this is like an intelligent drama, okay? I think you would be interested in how the hospice workers are portrayed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll take a look at it.
And it's a good movie all over, David. It's well acted and it's dramatic, it's funny, but it's real people having a real experience. You know what I mean? And whoever wrote it, well, I think the director wrote it or something, you can tell that they've got experiences. They're not, they're not fantasizing about what it would be like.
Sure. Yeah. This guy that I saw this guy, let's see, 2 days ago. I have two men that I visit. This guy's 98 years old, and he's very forgetful, but it's just him and me. And his wife died 50 years ago. So he's lives in a house behind his son. His son bought him a house, and it's on the street behind there. And it's his son's trying to take care of him and work. And so I've been there for about 3 months. And lately, the last time, he keeps telling me, but he really told me a lot this time, that he keeps seeing his wife, who died 50 years ago, and he's talking to her and everything. And I just find it fascinating. And if you talk to hospice nurses and that kind of thing, it's very common, that type of thing. They get closer and closer. They see them more and more, and they're more in the other world than they are in here. So I just thought I'd bring that up since we were talking about the hospice.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And also this lady who has passed now, like Clara's mother, she also had dementia for 15 years before.
Yep. So our next meeting is going to be the third Wednesday in the month, which is March 19th, 2 weeks. And so just keep an eye on the afterlife report that comes out for the times, because things are switching now in different places.
Right. Yes.
With the daylight savings time in the United States, and then in Europe has it too, and Australia has it. And so it's the time where it can really get messed up. So that's where whatever it says on there is what you go by that.
Okay. Thanks, David. And thanks, everyone. I really enjoyed hearing your reports. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you, David and Gordon.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Gordon.
Else.
Thanks, Gordon.
You have a blessed week. See you in a couple.
Yep. In a couple of weeks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks again, Stanley. Appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, thanks,
you're welcome.
Stanley.
I'll be sending it off either later tonight or first thing in the morning.
Sounds good. I'll be looking for it.
Okay.
Have a great week.
And you lot, yes. Cheers out.
See you later, Stanley.
Sure about it.